Let's talk about assignments. So throughout the semester, you will complete a couple of different assignments, and these assignments are worth 25 points. So when you consider the fact that a test is worth 100 points and the assignments are worth 25, that's a considerable amount of points, so you want to make sure you're taking this very seriously. So I'm going to go through the basics that will be required for all assignments. Of course, each individual assignment and the different prompts that are part of that assignment will be located on D2L with all the information that you need to complete that assignment. If at any given time you don't understand the assignment or you're unsure, please reach out to me immediately so that I can give you clarification. And if needed, I'll even make a video specifically for that assignment. But let's go over the basics and the details of what this looks like. So as you know, in each module, you will have one task to complete. You will either complete a quiz or a discussion or an assignment. So for the assignment, it is essentially a paper or a project that you are completing that if it is a project, you will also do a writing portion. So if the assignment requires some sort of a diagram that you're putting together, you're going to explain it in a writing session as well. So no matter what, an assignment requires a minimum of 2 full pages of writing. So let's go ahead and go through this. One of the key aspects of the assignment and why they're being assigned is that it is an opportunity to reinforce the material that you are learning in the module back through application and through actually physically and tangibly doing something or writing about something. So you should be synthesizing the module material with the prompt together. The more module material you include, the better your grade will be. So I highly recommend using the terminology from the chapters, from the PowerPoints, from the videos to make sure that you show you understand the correlation between this topic and the actual assignment that you're completing. So for example, if you're doing some sort of pest analysis, you want to make sure that you are not only talking about pests, the political, economic, sociocultural, technological, and ecological, but you are tying that into other terminology and other ideas from not only this module, but potentially the entire course that you have taken to this point. If you do not include module material, then you are not doing the assignment, because the point of the assignment is to practice what we are learning in the class. So please keep that in mind at all times. The key point of this assignment is to be about this module. So you must add module material. My recommendation, make sure you're going through the chapters and the PowerPoints and the videos and including that terminology and those ideas throughout your assignment, throughout your writing, so that way it matches together. All right, so the other thing is that you must turn in the assignment on D2L. I do not accept any emailed assignments. Part of the reason we use D2L is that it goes through the Turnitin software. So let me explain a little bit about Turnitin. Turnitin is a plagiarism software that can scan the entire internet and repertoire of past papers and assignments that have been turned in throughout the internet, and it will give percentages of how much of your paper is like something else that has been submitted before. It can give percentages of that. It can also tell me the source of where you got that information. I have made those reports available to you, so please check it ahead of time. If it is more than a 20% match, you will automatically receive a 0 and I do not grade it. The reason I do this is especially in a 2-page paper, if you have more than a 20% match, I guarantee it is plagiarized. And by having a blanket 0 policy, rather than going through the academic dishonesty channels, which I would have to do if I were grading it, it makes it a little bit more clear-cut. If you're at 20%, it guarantees plagiarism. Now, if you're less than 20%, you could potentially still have some plagiarism. Just make sure you're checking those highlighted portions, that you're giving proper citations and credit back to whomever you're getting the ideas from. Keep in mind with citations, you are citing not only direct words, but ideas. So if it's someone else's idea, you should still give them credit through an in-text citation and then include a works cited at the end of the paper. All your in-text citations and works cited at the end of the paper or the assignment must be in APA format. Do I need perfection? No, but I need to see that you're trying and that you're trying to put it in there correctly. This is just a standard of ethical writing that requires you give credit to other people when you did not come up with the idea yourself. You won't always be using external sources, so this really only applies if you're using external sources. If you don't have any, that's okay, you don't need to. If you're using the textbook, I still like to have, my computer went to sleep. If you're using the textbook, I still like to see some in-text citations and a works cited, but I'm a little less worried than external sources. If it's from my lectures, such as my videos, feel free to cite those. I'm, again, a little less worried about that than other things. All right, so we're gonna look at the rubric and some other things here. Okay, first thing is minimum of 2 full pages. So let me explain about this. I don't want you to waste room. So what I mean by waste room is, say I were to go to a new page. Okay. So here we are on my first page. I'm gonna write my name. Then I'm gonna write, and we'll even do this way. So say it's double spaced. I'm gonna write my name, and then I'm gonna write the professor, and then I'm gonna write the class, and then I'm gonna write assignment for module 2, and then I'm gonna write the date, and then I'm gonna say, center it and put a title, and then I'm gonna skip a line, and then I'm gonna start writing. This is all wasted space. I only require 2 pages. In fact, I'd like to have more than 2 pages. I don't require it, but I'd like to see more than 2 pages, so don't waste space. If you do this, I will actually go through and check your writing, whether you turn it in PDF, which I don't like, or Word. I will go through and I will fix it, and I will delete all that and look at your paper as it should truly be and see if it's actually a full true 2 pages. So say you get to the end of your writing, okay, and you stop right about here, that's your last line. You still don't have a full 2 pages. I will give you a 0, okay? If you cannot come up with a couple of sentences to add in that extra space, you're not doing enough work, okay? This is worth 25 points. It's only 2 pages. You must complete a full 2 pages. Another thing is, don't mess with your margins. What do I mean by that? They need to be 1-inch margins, which is the standard. So if you were to go to layout and you go to margins here, it should be that normal. You'll see right here it says 1-inch margins across top, bottom, left, and right. I like to use a lot of customs where I actually add more space because I want it to fit on a piece of paper. I don't recommend doing that either. You don't need to. Just keep it on the standard 1-inch margins. Please don't try to fool it by having something like wide margins where it's even less space. I have done a lot of writing in my time. I've looked at a lot of papers in my time. I can tell when you've messed with the margins, and I can go back through and I can fix it even if you do it on a PDF. And if you do that, it will be an automatic 0 because to me that's very dishonest. Do not mess with your margins. It should be 1 inch. And if you're unsure, you can always check, and it should be just on the normal 1-inch margins. That's the standard that's in Word. Okay. I say maximum 4 full pages. If you go beyond that, please feel free. I'm glad you're really excited about it. At 4 full pages, I will get a very good idea of whether or not you have met the requirements for the assignment. My video just cut off, so I'm re-recording the last portion of this, so you'll see a little bit of a cut. I was just talking about 4 pages, so I'm gonna go through the rest of this, which, was half of my video cut off, but that's okay. It's the normal part of trying to record these. So let's keep going on with the requirements here. 12-point font, Times New Roman, that should be pretty standard. So if you wanna know how that works, you can always highlight whatever. You'll see the different fonts available to you. I want Times New Roman 12-point font. Okay, double space and 1-inch margins. There are a couple different ways to do this. So my favorite way to do this is honestly to use the line spacing options quick button here. You're gonna just put on the 2.0. I also like to see that you don't have any added space between paragraphs. So we're gonna make that double. I'm going to undo that. It's just easier for you to see it if I have it in single spacing. The other way to do it is to right click, and you're going to go to paragraph, and you're going to do the same thing. It brings you to that same box, okay? Okay, we talked about APA formatting, both in-text citations as well as your works cited at the end. Must submit it via D2L before the deadline. So there are a couple recommendations with this. One, do it early. So if there's any problems with your computer, you're not trying to do it at midnight on Friday and then realizing that the box is closed. I'm very, very hard cut on that deadline. So if you miss the deadline, there is no making it up. And I found that over the time I've been teaching these, with an online class where you're a little bit self-paced here, if I let things drag on, it actually hurts you in the long run. It's much better to know that it's a hard, fast deadline and that there's no way to make up for that work that you've missed. It only drags on and builds and builds and builds, and then you don't have anything done, and then you're trying to rush it at the end, and then the problem is the work isn't good because you're trying to rush it. So I just have hard, fast deadlines. If you miss something, you miss something. The other thing is make sure you're looking at that Turnitin report so we don't have the 20% or higher match. So now let's look at our rubric. So you're graded on 3 different categories: how detailed it is, how insightful it is, and then your grammar, spelling, and APA. So both your detailed and insightful sections are worth 10 points each. For the detailed, I'm really looking at how much of the module material you're including in with the prompt. So I'm really looking at the content that you're providing. That's what the detailed section is. Whereas in insightful, I'm looking at your analysis and your synthesis. So does it go beyond surface level? Does it go beyond the obvious? Did you really dig into the material, really show me you understood it, provide your own examples that go beyond what the text is saying? Now keep in mind that a 7 is average, meaning you did good enough, but it's not great. It's good enough, it's okay. And a 10 is outstanding, meaning you're better than your peers. You're doing incredibly. You really understand the material. You're showing a deep knowledge and that you worked really hard on putting this assignment together. So really, honestly, a 10 or a 25 or an A shows that you're above average. So if you're only turning in average work, you will only get a 7 out of 10. This is not a completion score. I expect good work. Now, the last 5 points actually comes from grammar and APA, and you'll notice that's actually on a -5 to 5 scale. And the reason for that is if you are not doing the obvious bare minimum of trying to get the grammar correct, then I will take away points, because that is part of being a professional. That is part of putting yourself in the best foot forward moving forward, and it's a learning experience. So if you're ever unsure, well, you should do this anyway. You can always go to your review. You have a spelling and grammar check. Make sure you're always checking these grammar and spelling. Another thing, you'll see this more in discussions than on Word, because Word will automatically correct you. If you're using the word I, which should be capitalized, make sure it's capitalized. It'll automatically do it here. Don't misspell words, use people's names correctly, use proper spelling, grammar, all that kind of stuff, and then make sure you're using that APA formatting. So if you turn in an average paper, it's okay, it's not great. You might get 7, 7, and a 5, which gives you a 19 out of 25, which is a B, which is perfectly adequate. But if you want more than that, you're going to have to go above and beyond and really show that you put a lot of effort into this assignment. So again, these are not completion. I do take these very seriously. I hope you're really taking the time to understand the material, to really put yourself into the position of the module, and to synthesizing that with your own experiences so that you can be better prepared for the exam, but you can also really internalize this material. So if at any point in time you have any questions about assignments, about a specific assignment, about the overview of assignments, please reach out to me. I'm happy to set up a meeting. I'm happy to send emails. If there's a specific assignment you're not sure about, I can potentially even make another video just for that one assignment so that it makes it clearer and easier to understand what my expectations are for you. So with that, I will wish you a really great semester. Good luck on your assignments, and please let me know if you have any questions.